Welcome to Beverly Unitarian Church. My name is Pat Hoffman and I'm a member of the Worship Committee. If you are finding us online for the first time especially, let me assure you of what our regular attendees and members know already, that here we welcome all people, every color of the rainbow, every place on earth. Whatever your past or present is like, we invite you to walk into the future with us. Here we celebrate a diversity of beliefs, striving always to make room for more. Like other Unitarian Universalist congregations, we are guided by several principles which can be found online. Our minister is the Reverend David Schwartz. Today, our Green Sanctuary Committee will be presenting a special service recognizing and honoring Earth Day. Thank you to Fran Soa, Eileen Cleese, and Nan Barsadi in particular for their work on this service. And I'm happy to welcome today our musicians, Maria and Anya Moser. We especially welcome visitors and hope that you will join us and see us and interact with us at the Zoom coffee hour after the service. The link to join the coffee hour will be posted in the chat and on our Facebook page, and is sent regularly in the weekly email to our members. We are currently delivering most announcements via email, so if you have an announcement, please contact Mary in the office to be added to the weekly emails. Or if it's short, you may type it in the chat here, being mindful that any posts in the chat are public. A flame within a chalice is a primary symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition dating back to World War II. To its originator, the image had connotations of sacrifice and love. Unitarian Universalists today have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. And now, please join me in saying the words for lighting our chalice this morning. Before the wonders of life, we acknowledge our failures to see and to revere. Before the sanctities of life, we are ashamed of our disrespects and indignities. Before the gifts of life, we own that we have made choices of lesser goods, and here today we seek the gifts of the Spirit. Before the heroisms of life, we would be enlarged to new devotion. And now, please join me as we speak the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now, while you're feeling the love, since we cannot see each other in person, I invite you to extend your greetings via the chat function, bearing in mind that all chats are public.
Ours is a simple faith, life is a short embrace, heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till, make each day what you will, thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. There is no hell to fear, no judgment day drawing near. Trust that inner voice you hear every day. Life's not a goal or race, it's about heart and faith, living a life of grace every day. Trust is an open hand, making an honest stand, rooted here in the land every day. Live in the mystery, seeking the harmony here between you and me every day.
And now, as I know you will, I encourage you to continue your love at the Zoom coffee hour immediately after the service. Now, Fran will share our story for all ages, Trash Hero.
It was a fine sunny day, and the creatures of Rosy Reef were out and about as usual. Turtle, in particular, was feeling very hungry and was looking around for some breakfast. At last he saw a delicious-looking jellyfish floating by. Just what I fancy, he thought, and set off after it. But just as he was about to snap it up, there was a flash of yellow and a big splash in the water. When the bubbles cleared, the jellyfish was gone. Turtle was confused and swam up to the surface to see what happened. There he saw a boy in a yellow shirt holding the jellyfish up in the air. "Hey," said Turtle, "that's my breakfast." "Oh, no," said the boy, "that's not food. This is an old plastic bag that someone has thrown away. When it floats in the water, it looks like a jellyfish. But if you eat it, it can poison you or block up your insides." Turtle looked puzzled, but he didn't know what a plastic bag was. He didn't like the sound of it, though. "My name is Trash Hero," the boy said. "I save animals from eating the poisonous stuff we humans throw away." "Why do you throw things away?" asked Turtle. "Here in Rosy Reef, nothing was wasted. And especially those dangerous things," Turtle went on. "They shouldn't be in the water." The boy looked sad, but he said nothing. Instead, he looked out across the horizon and said to Turtle, "Sorry, I have to go now." And off he zoomed across the water, heading for a school of fish who were about to nibble on some styrofoam. On and on, Trash Hero worked all day, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. He saved some seagulls from scooping up plastic bottle tops, which they thought were fish. And he saved a young seal from getting tangled up in a plastic bag, and even a puppy on the beach who was about to eat some old cigarette butts. None of these creatures knew what plastic was, or litter, or that it could be harmful. Those things did not exist in the natural world. It was like this every day now. Back in the days when his grandmother was Trash Hero, she only worked on weekends. But since he had started the job, he was working nonstop. Even though he had superpowers, it was tough. It seemed like more and more litter was being thrown away. His grandmother said it was all the new convenience plastic, straws, spoons, and bags that were used for just a few minutes and then thrown away. But it didn't seem convenient to him, and certainly was not to all the animals it harmed. One morning, Trash Hero sat down on the beach, looking rather tired. He took a sip from his water bottle and took the last cookie out of his paper bag. He was careful not to use any of that convenience plastic that might harm his friends. A girl walked past him carrying a black bag and asked if he would like to put his paper wrapper into it. She said she was collecting the rubbish on the beach to make it look nicer. Trash Hero was surprised and thanked her. He explained that the litter which she was collecting was also harmful to animals, and confessed that it was a hard job to try and save them all. The girl looked thoughtful, and then she smiled. "Maybe I can help you," she said. "But how?" asked Trash Hero. "You don't have superpowers like me. I fly all around the world." "I know," said the girl, "but I have lots of friends. Come with me." Trash Hero followed the girl to her school in the village. There he told the whole class his story, and all of the boys and girls and the teacher also agreed they would help him. They decided to do 3 things. First, they would stop using convenience plastic whenever they could. They would always put their litter in the bin, and they would pick up any other litter which they saw before the animals would find it. Trash Hero smiled a big smile when he heard that. "That means there will be less for me to collect," he said, "and the animals will be safer too." The teacher agreed. She explained that anyone and everyone could be a trash hero and help make the world a cleaner and safer place to live. "That's true," said Trash Hero. "Just one person is not enough. The more trash heroes the world has, the better it will be." The children all cheered, and they said they would start helping right away. But Trash Hero could not stay any longer. He looked out over the horizon again and zoomed off, this time to help a baby dolphin who was about to swallow a cigarette lighter. We can all be trash heroes. More than half of the plastic in the ocean is convenience plastic. Things like bags, bottles, and straws that we use only once for a few minutes, then throw away on land, and it works its way into the ocean. So around 1 million birds and sea creatures die each year through having plastic in and around their bodies. The rules are pretty simple. We can clean up after ourselves. We can take a reusable tote bag when we go shopping. We can take a water bottle and refill it. We can say no to straws. And we can put our trash in the proper places. Those that are marked for recycling, like glass bottles, cans, paper, and some kinds of plastic, can be turned back into new raw materials and reused. And for more information, we can go to trashhero.org. See you there.
Every week we live our separate lives, each filled with our own joys and concerns and sorrows. In this time of isolation, self-quarantine, sheltering in place, it may feel like our lives are more separate than ever. But our community is stronger than isolation. And although we cannot share our joys and concerns in person right now, this is the point where we offer online to share our joys, that they may be magnified and spread ripples throughout our community. And also to share our concerns and our sorrows, that they may be lessened and comforted by being carried in all of our hearts and prayers. I will light 5 candles for the community at large, and I also invite you to lift up anyone that is specially important to you at this moment, and to share any joy or concern which you are comfortable sharing publicly in the chat. Or you can type 2 eyes to indicate that you're raising two fingers, as we do in church, and indicate that your joy or sorrow is private and tender, but that you reach out to us nonetheless. And so, from the flame of our community, I light the first candle, which is for fear. The fears that we all feel from time to time, and especially in times of crisis. Fear for our physical health, our mental health, our financial health, and for the unknown road ahead of us, both in our personal lives and in the life of our nation and the world. We are seeds, putting down roots, finding our way through the darkness to emerge into the sunlight and sprout a new day and a new season. This candle is finding our way through the darkness of fears to the light of the day. Second candle is to acknowledge disappointments, frustration, loss, and grief of the things large and small that we must give up just for now or maybe forever. And for allowing ourselves to accept our imperfections, our failures, our frustrations, our disappointments and losses, just as we celebrate our achievements, joys, and gratitudes, both large and small. This candle is for accepting life in every way. Third candle is for chaos and change. If we are seeds, then change, however painful, is an opportunity for growth. Whether we can feel the growth right now or just the chaos, you will know the growth in the future. And now this candle is to trust that the chaos is the beginning of growth, and to encourage us to lean in rather than away from that change. The fourth candle is for all of those who are finding their strength, courage, creativity, empathy, love, and service in the face of crisis. And especially for those who are using those talents not only to support and uplift themselves, but to support and uplift others. And the final candle is for gratitude. Gratitude for and support of all those many folks who are putting their time, talents, skills, hearts, and souls into helping us all. And that is every one of us. Help us to continue to find ways to help ourselves and to help others. The Morgan Park Food Pantry needs food and donations. Sewing masks for healthcare workers and postal delivery people and grocers, calling and checking in on seniors and those home alone, sharing a phone call, writing a card for nursing home residents. There is something for every time and ability. And even small tokens of caring and concern are huge. This candle is for waking up each morning with a purpose, with a meaning, and with gratitude. And now, I invite you again as I light one final candle for all of our joys, concerns, and sorrows which remain unspoken and which are added to our chat. Have you heard of Socked TV? It's television's version of taking a deep breath, a long, slow, deep breath. In fact, it's called Slow TV, and it was a surprising smash hit where it originated in Norway and now around the world. It began with a broadcast of a train journey from the coastal town of Bergen to the capital city of Oslo, and the formula was simple. Just put a few cameras on a train and watch the scenery go by for 7 hours. So now, for our moment of silent reflection, meditation, or prayer, we offer our tiny Socked TV, just 30 seconds of nature's breath. I invite you to take this time to connect to your breath here together in this moment. And now, as we return from private reflection back into community, please join me in singing the reflective hymn, Calm Soul of All Things. Calm soul of all things, make it mine to feel amid the city's jar that there abides a peace of thine I did not make and cannot mar. The will to neither strive nor cry, the power to feel with others give. Calm me more, nor let me die before I have begun to live. And now I'm pleased to invite Francois.
A couple of years ago, scientists were testing rainwater samples in Colorado. When they got to Loch Vale in the Rocky Mountains at an altitude of 10,364 feet, they were surprised. They found fragments, blue, red, silver, purple, and green in the water. Lab analysis revealed that these were microplastics. Scientists say that these shards could have been released from synthetic clothing through laundry drying vents and from items such as plastic tarps and packaging. These bits are picked up by the wind, they evaporate into the atmosphere, and they return with rain or snowfall. Most plastic waste is made from fossil fuels. It lasts for centuries, simply getting smaller and more dangerous. It's everywhere, in the Arctic, in the oceans, wrapped around the necks and in the guts of the creatures of the sea, and in the bodies of those of us who eat seafood and sea salt, or even drink beer. Bales of our plastic waste are piling up in undeveloped nations. This plastic is often melted down illegally, causing damage to the environment and to the health of the local population. In 2016, around 335 million metric tons of plastic were produced, and roughly 1/2 was destined for single-use products. 91% of all plastic is not recycled. The market for the small amount which is recycled is shrinking. It is less expensive to buy virgin plastic made from the cheap oil which the fossil fuel industry continues to pump out. Some cities, especially in Florida and the Northeast, incinerate their plastics along with other waste in so-called waste-to-energy programs. As their facilities get older, they emit more and more toxic fumes. Unfortunately, 79% of municipal solid waste incinerators operating in our country are located in impoverished communities and or communities of color. Experts say that we need to evolve to a circular economy in which there is no waste. Products, components, and materials would be designed for future reuse, repair, remanufacturing, and in the last resort, recycling. To their credit, some manufacturers like Nike and Patagonia have stepped up for years to reclaim and reuse worn out products. A local company, Dart, reclaims and recycles clean styrofoam food containers, as well as styrofoam packing pieces. Others, like Adidas, use recycled plastic in their products, and Aveda Care products come in recycled containers. TerraCycle, an American company, now even accepts used disposable diapers. They sterilize and compost the inner cotton lining and then recycle the outer shells into plastic pellets. An Australian company, Repel, turns 10 tons of mixed plastic waste each year, including plastic packaging, into durable heavy-duty pellets. And let's remember the volunteers, like those who work with the Alliance for the Great Lakes. They remove 18 tons of mostly plastic waste from Great Lakes beaches each year before that waste can begin its destructive journey into our waterways. All of these efforts should be supported, but the fact is that the waste keeps piling up. We cannot recycle, and we should not have to burn or bury our way out of this plastic mess. Neither are we in a position to phase out plastic completely. Indeed, at this time, single-use plastics play an important medical role in some cases. Medical waste, however, is recognized as biohazardous, and its disposal is regulated by law. In truth, all plastic waste, which is not properly disposed of, is biohazardous and is a proper subject for strict regulation. It took legislation to ban one of the most flagrant examples of plastic overkill, plastic microbeads in personal care products. The Alliance for the Great Lakes spearheaded the movement against these toxic beads, which rinse off right into the water. Illinois was the first American state to ban them. This caught on, and it led to a federal ban. Many countries throughout the world have similar bans. Other attempts at regulation have had mixed results. In 2018, Chicago reported that the use of disposable bags had dropped by 48% during the first year that their disposable bag tax was in force. 8 states and hundreds of municipalities have banned or restricted single-use plastics. But another 17 states, after campaigns supported and funded by the plastic industry, have banned restrictions on plastic products. So where can we find hope? I place my hopes in the work of the environmental groups and the responsible media who carry the message that we are all facing an existential crisis which requires decisive action. I hope that continued efforts to control plastic waste legislatively will succeed. A proposed Chicago ordinance aims at reducing the use of plastic in restaurant takeout. In my opinion, everyone who resides in the city needs to support the passage of that ordinance. I place my hope in people of faith who, regardless of their political or philosophical differences, recognize that the grave economic and environmental injustice caused by plastic waste cannot be tolerated. That every human being, no matter where they live or what their economic status, has the right to clean air free from toxic fumes and to clean water unfouled by garbage. I place my hope in every one of you who use alternatives to single-use plastics whenever possible, who responsibly dispose of plastic waste, and who support environmental and legislative initiatives aimed at reducing the use of such plastics.
Now is the time in our service when we remember that we are all enriched by Beverly Unitarian Church, and we are, all of us, needed by Beverly Unitarian Church. The church would have no purpose or meaning without us all, and it also could not survive without us all. So I invite you at this point to make whatever donation you are fiscally, mentally able to make. And there were many options, from good old-fashioned checks and US mail to online banking, bill pay, transfers, or any other payment platform that you're comfortable with. And if you have any questions or need any assistance, please contact Mary in the office to help you with that. And finally, as we are in our pledge season right now, I invite you to fill out a pledge form for next year that will help our finance committee to budget for our coming year, knowing that if your situation changes, changes can always be made. Thank you. And please help me recite our offertory pledge. We are this church. We are its heart, its hands, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. One of those gifts we give is our support. Please enjoy Maria and Ani as they share their gift of singing with Young People Marching, which calls us all to support the planet.
There is no middle ground when it comes to the climate.
Young people marching, striking for climate. Millions and millions of young people marching, marching for our planet, marching for their lives. Young people speaking their truth to power. The science is clear. It's late in the hour for climate action, reducing GHGs. Decades of lies, decades of denial, turned up the heat, engulfed us in fire. Decades of obstruction, though people knew better, caused this climate emergency. Now we gotta get ourselves free of this climate emergency. Young people dreaming a clean new economy, a Green New Deal, keeping it real. Young people calling out Extinction Rebellion. Greta Thunberg in Sweden got everybody marching. Now millions are marching the whole world over. Young people marching, marching for our lives. Decades of lies, decades of denial. Turned up the heat, engulfed us in fire. Decades of obstruction, though people knew better. Caused this climate emergency. Now we've gotta get ourselves free of this climate emergency. Can we get your sign? Young people marching, striking for climate. Millions and millions of young people marching, marching for our planet, marching for our lives. Young people marching, they're marching for their lives.
And now, Eileen Cleese will speak to us from Green Sanctuary.
So how do we solve the plastic problem? First, I want to underscore how important plastics have been in the improvement of our lifestyles over the past 100 years, assuming cost, convenience, and durability are valuable to you. They are to me, and I'm aware of how big a role plastics have played in the way I live my life. Now, here are a few facts about plastics that you should know. Plastics are polymers. Those are large molecules made of repeating units of smaller molecules called monomers that are chemically bound together. All plastic is made of carbon. Man-made plastic uses carbon derived from oil, while biopolymers or bioplastics use carbon derived from natural materials. Growing up, I recall that almost all food came in glass, metal, or paper containers. Plastic seemed to be limited to bread bags, frozen vegetables, and Tupperware, at least in my household. Clear plastic bags became the norm for buying fruits and vegetables at supermarkets in the 1970s. However, the explosion of plastic in packaging occurred after 1980 when oil prices dropped and manufacturing went overseas. Whether made from natural materials or oil, plastic has become the material of choice for some or all of almost everything we use in our daily lives. Plastic has replaced glass, metal, and ceramics in the production of millions of products because it's cheap, lightweight, and relatively unbreakable. Plastic is durable and provides protection from contaminants in the elements. It reduces food waste by preserving food and increasing its shelf life. It protects food, medicines, and other consumables against pests, microbes, and humidity. Transporting plastic containers requires far less fuel than transporting metal or glass. Moving and storing pallets of boxes filled with plastic instead of glass or metal is far easier because of the weight difference. The boxes used to store and transport plastic can be made of thinner corrugated, thus involving less paper waste. And unlike corrugated fiberboard or wood, plastic is water resistant and can be used over and over in the form of pallets, racks, and IBCs, which are currently being used to replace big steel barrels or containers. Consider all the items in hospitals and clinics that get used once and thrown away rather than disinfected and reused. The cost of contamination far exceeds the cost of disposal, at least in the minds of most healthcare professionals. So these are all the reasons why plastic is not going away. So are we stuck with the mess we've made using plastics for just about everything? Yes and no. There are other polymers besides plastics. Naturally occurring polymers such as starches, triglycerides, and bacterial polyesters can be extracted from crops and bacteria. Furthermore, plants and microorganisms can produce substances like lactic acid, which can be polymerized into bioplastics. Bioplastics have the advantage of being produced from renewable resources, for example, bacteria and plants, rather than non-renewable resources, oil and natural gas. Furthermore, bioplastics are biodegradable. They can break down in the environment if, this is an important if, they are composted properly. With current technology, bioplastics are more expensive to produce than plastics from oil. But biotechnology is advancing and production may become more economical in the future. Oil-based plastics don't degrade, but many types, including LDPE, HDPE, polypropylene, etc., can be recycled. But at this time, only the plastics marked number 1 and number 2 are economically feasible to recycle because oil is cheap and recycling is expensive. But consumer pressure could change. So here is where we come into play. We are the consumers that can pressure our governments and communities to do the following. Ban single-use plastic containers and bags. Replace single-stream recycling bins with multiple bins for different types of plastics plus the other materials. Require a deposit on all plastic containers. Many of us require when you could get a nickel for a glass bottle turned in to a pickup service. And we stopped seeing Coke bottles along the driveways and roadways. Support carbon fee and dividend legislation that taxes oil and natural gas at the source, adding $40 per ton of carbon to the price, at least the first year, and it goes higher for the next 10 years. Tax plastic goods at the manufacturing and the import point. Ban all plastic containers on beaches, cruises, national and state parks. Currently, most national parks do ban single-use plastic bottles. Demand municipal composting for bioplastics. Support international efforts to improve plastic reuse and recycling in Asia and developing countries. By the way, developing countries are the worst source for pollution, for plastic pollution in the oceans. So here's what we can do as individuals. We can reuse the plastic we buy by taking bags with us everywhere we shop. We can reuse the plastic containers we get or buy for food storage or other storage. We can avoid restaurants that offer only takeout in plastic containers. We can buy the food products in glass instead of plastic where that is an option. We can buy less stuff, buy used goods, and buy higher quality goods that have less plastic in their production. We can support legislation that makes plastic more expensive, thus driving the effort to innovate for different kinds of materials and better plastic recycling. We can encourage the entrepreneurial pursuit to eliminate plastic waste. In the 1967 movie, The Graduate, young Ben Braddock's father's friend advises him, "I got one word for you, Benjamin, plastics." That was intended to be ironic, but much truth is said in jest. Plastic is still the word, only this time, BlackRock could be investing in business ventures that can end plastic waste versus finding us a parking spot. Individual efforts to reduce the use of plastic and plastic waste are admirable, but will barely make a dent in the problem without the political will to effect national and international change, and that comes from us. We need plastics. What we don't need is plastic waste. If that stays top of mind, we have a chance to beat this problem, or at least get it under control. The alternative is a lifeless ocean and endless landfill. So the choice is ours.
Please join me in singing our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry seas, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, breathe the infinite sea with wisdom, sing my heart a sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
As our service comes to a close, please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice. May faith in the spirit of life and hope for the community of earth be ours now and in all the days to come.
God bless the grass that grows through the crack. They roll the concrete over it and try to hold it back. The concrete gets tired of what it has to do. And after a while, the grass breaks through. And God bless the grass. God bless the truth that fights toward the sun. They roll the lies over it and think that it is done. It moves through the ground and reaches toward the air. And after a while, it's growing everywhere. And God bless the grass. God bless the grass that grows through cement. It's green and it's tender, it's easily bent. But after a while, it lifts up its head, 'cause the grass is living and the stone is dead. And God bless the grass. God bless the grass God bless the truth, the friend of the poor, and the wild grass growing at the poor man's door. And God bless the grass.
Our service is concluded, but please join us for our Zoom coffee hour. The link was sent in the email earlier this week. See you there.